Across this country, there are lots of memorials. They all have a singular purpose. They're there to remind us. They stand through the ages to mark a place and a time when something happened. You go to Washington, D.C., you'll see the Lincoln Memorial. It stands there to remind us of our past. At the foot of that memorial, you'll see a stone to Martin Luther King Jr. from the place where he delivered I Have a Dream. PAR has such a place. It was Lucy Monroe's coffee shop conference room in Christiansburg, Virginia. There's no memorial marking it. But back in 2010, in this very room, something significant happened that forever changed the course of PAR. I don't want us to ever forget it. So we're making this video for you and for future team members and leaders at PAR. You need to burn this story into your memory. They say that those who don't remember history are doomed to repeat it. If we forget how broken PAR was and how God's power has changed us, we could go back to where we were. And that would be not only painful, but also a tragedy. We simply cannot allow that to happen. We must always remember.
My name is Randy Bronkema, and I am the Senior Development Consultant at Advocacy. About 10 years ago, Paul Martin, our president, called me and said, "We've just signed a new client, Positive Alternative Radio. Would you go down and meet with them and begin what we call in development, the onboarding process, getting them started in the development process?" I said, "Certainly." I went down to Blacksburg and met with the core people at that time. There was about 8 or 9 people around the table. And we began our process. It was an interesting day. It was a day filled with complaints, excuses, not overcoming any obstacles, couldn't do certain things. And I did something that I have never done before and have never done since. I slammed my fist on the table and I said, "Ladies and gentlemen, it is 4:30. We're going to end at 5 o'clock. You have 30 minutes now to get all the complaining, all the griping, all the stuff out of your system, because at 5 o'clock today, it ends."
So I'm Jerry Grimes. I'm Vice President of Creative Services for Positive Alternative Radio. When Randy slammed his fist on the table and we all sort of halted in that moment, the room went silent, as you would expect, but it also broke the tension, because right before that happened, people were at each other's throats. Everybody had their own agenda, everybody had their own ideas. There was total lack of consensus. And in that moment, I think everybody realized we're not going to get through this, we're not going to move forward unless we all can come together around a central idea. And that was the crisis moment that allowed us to build an agenda for the future, a whole new vision, a whole new mission, and to change the direction of PAR.
Before PAR transformed into what it is today, which is amazing compared to what we had an issue where basically just hit your deadlines. Don't ask questions. Each GM typically leaned toward their own mailing style. They would direct their own writing in some ways. We now have a team that our design it's uniform, it's beautiful, everyone agrees. We have a situation where the writing is done by one person. Everyone's voice, of course, gets to speak into it, but there's not a silo mentality of I will write my own letters and you will just make sure you execute. There was a day when we would never have felt that data was important, more so than just to say whether something was succeeding or failing. But now we get to speak into whether an issue is an issue or not. If we see trends that concern us, our voice is actually heard, and it's a beautiful thing. People on my team that used to feel like, do what you're told and don't ask questions, they now get to speak into things and to help make decisions, which is a huge 180 from what we used to have.
I think the silo mentality was so strong that there was an agenda that was to be force-fed to me on what somebody wanted to do or not do, but I was brought in as a brain trust. The best way for me to explain what it was like when we first began was having the ability to do something in the community, but there was no real support and there was really nobody to call for those ships to come in that were really going to kind of feed you. If I had to tell you what PAR was like today, I would say that it is a place of collaboration. It's a place where people exchange ideas and work together and root for each other and help each other.
A mission is so important. You can't do anything if you don't know where you're going. And treating people with love and care, because every single employee is a person and God's created them with a purpose. And empowering employees and team members, not employees, team members, to find their purpose empowers them not only professionally, but spiritually as well.
PAR has a culture that loves their people. It has become more of a ministry than a workplace. People actually care about who and what you are, call you up if you have issues, thank you every day, appreciate you every day. So I think that's the biggest thing from PAR.
It's a little different, and some people might say it's a little weird, but ultimately we know we're family. And you can either just choose to be a group of employees who punch in and punch out, or you can choose to be a team and change the world together.
PAR team members feel engaged. They feel like they're here to change the world. And I think when we did this most recent hire, that was something that was very important to this individual, was that they weren't just there for the paycheck. And as an engineer, we weren't just asking them to come in and fix things. They had to be part of the culture, and they had to be part of what we were doing at PAR.
Oftentimes, like a new employee will get a thank you card within the first couple of days. They'll get a thank you call from Brian within the first few hours that they are at the station, and they know that there's a welcome mat that's been laid out, and it's from people all over PAR, not just the ones in their station.
Don't take this for granted. There's a reason why, if you read through Psalms, that David continually writes about the plagues of Egypt. He never wanted the people of Israel to forget what God did. We cannot forget where we came from. It's toxic, broken, dark, argumentative, frustrating. We're not perfect. We have a lot of flaws, but we're not going to quit trying to be better. But I know that being better doesn't mean going back to Egypt. We have come out of Egypt. We're out of there. I just don't want us to forget the plagues. I don't want us to forget what it was like to live there. I want us to celebrate what we have and continue to strive to be the best.
Well, it doesn't seem like it's been since 1985 when we started out with that blank sheet of paper. But we sure put a lot of notes on that paper. And we're growing in the right direction. There's a lot of challenges out there. And our big thing there is we've been blessed.
The words of Jeremiah say, "For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans not to harm you, but to prosper you, and to give you a hope and a future." Hear those words, our hope, our future. They depend upon us remembering what God has already done in our midst. We remember where we've been, and we know where we're going. Let us never forget.